Welcome to this interview. We are with Ms. Melissa Martin, who is the founder and owner of Blackwood Impact Group. Melissa, wow, you have come on this incredible journey. You started off with sports marketing. You got out and got your feet wet, so to speak, in the business world, went back to get your MBA, and now you are totally equipped to be consulting where you are in the small to mid-sized business sector in the area of marketing, sales, and operations. As you think back on your journey, what are some of the impacts that have had on your journey so far?
First of all, thank you. And I am really excited about this interview and to talk with you. Three things stand out. Yes, I did start out in sports marketing, but I quickly learned that wasn't going to be conducive to the lifestyle that I wanted to live. Very demanding. It's a long journey to move up within sports organizations, so on and so forth. And no matter what sport you're working in, you're going to be working on some major holiday. So I quickly said, okay, I love marketing and I do love sports, but I'm going to pivot into something more sustainable. Mm-hmm. And I thought to myself, well, I know that I love marketing. That's what I had my bachelor's degree in. And so I wanted to stay in that realm. And I pivoted to digital marketing. In 2011, SEO was changing and it was getting to a new level of things. And that's what really first caught my eye was search engine optimization. And so I went out for a couple of roles in that field and fell in love with it. And I would say fast forward to 2014, that's when my professional growth really skyrocketed, changed. So in 2014, I was a co-founding member of Blue Key Interactive, a digital marketing agency. And this was a completely bootstrapped organization. So no funding, no loans, no grants, no money from anybody's rich uncle.
You eat what you kill.
Exactly. And I was the head of sales, the only salesperson. And that forced me to look at a lot of different sales tools. So from cold calling to door to door and other businesses. And what I really honed in on was networking. Mm-hmm. It's a bit of a slower game, but it proved to be so fruitful. Not only for business and bringing in clients, which I was able to bring in 80% of the gross revenue for Blue Key Interactive while we were up and running. And through networking, I not only making sales and all that good stuff, but the relationships that I formed then have been responsible for all the other opportunities that have come my way since, from clients to strategic partners. Mm-hmm. And on the personal side, gaining a wealth of experience with public speaking, and it opened doors to being on panels, and it really took me to the next level. And the third thing that I think is very pivotal in my career is there was a moment where I was working in a boutique agency. So this is after Blue Key Interactive. We sold that company in 2016, 2017. And my partner and I at the time, we were working in another boutique agency. Even though they were small, they would take on, they had really large clients and they did phenomenal work. And because of that, they were at a certain price point, and that was their business model. Nothing wrong with it. It was great. However, I would end up meeting with people that couldn't afford that agency. And I knew one day that I wanted to be a consultant. I said, maybe closer to retirement or after I've gotten a certain age, a certain number of gray hairs, and I'll go and be a consultant. And I'll never forget it. This man, I'll never forget the room, the conversation we were having, and just a great guy, great business owner. And unfortunately, he just wasn't in a position to business with us because of the budget. And as he was telling me his needs, I realized I can help this man. I have the resources, I have the experience, and I know exactly what to do to help him. And that moment really gave me the confidence, and just a light bulb went off. I can help people right here and now. And shortly after working with that business, I started Blackwood Impact Group.
Well, Melissa, what's the impetus that drives you and motivates you to help these small to mid-sized business owners?
Well, there's a saying, to do it right is expensive, to do it wrong is going to cost you a fortune. So, when I was working with a lot of these small businesses, they usually stem from an entrepreneur starting something from nothing. And that in itself has always been appealing to me, obviously, being an entrepreneur myself, co-founding and things of that nature. So I love working with those types of people and those types of businesses. And what I would hear being in a sales role for digital marketing agencies is that they would come to us and say, oh, well, can you just put a Band-Aid on this? I just spent a ton of money on my website. I just redid my logo, and I just did this and I just did that. Well, guess what? Nothing's working. The strategy's not there, and you just dumped a bunch of money into something that we really need to redo. And again, because I saw these people doing what they loved, they were good at what they were doing, but they didn't know what they didn't know. And again, going back to how much I admire entrepreneurs and small businesses, it's just a great fit for me to be able to step in and help people. If they can't do it right the first time with me, at least they can move on resting assured that they are investing in the right marketing initiatives, in the right marketing channels, in the right strategies, in the right messaging, so that they can yield profitable results.
You often stress the importance of having a clear marketing message. What methodology do you use to help ignite your clients' brands?
I'm a champion for Donald Miller and the Story Brand Framework. He has this framework that is tried and true, and it taps into the psychographics of your client or customer. So getting to know the truth behind why the customer buys, understanding that, honing in on that, and then telling a compelling message that checks off all the boxes in the mind of your client or consumer. So who are you? What do you do? How do I do business with you? What does success look like? What does failure look like? And we craft a message in such a way that it can be, first, we implement it for your overall business, your entire brand. And then depending on, as the engagement grows with my clients, we can then translate this message into smaller messages for each service or product. And then we go into creating and implementing. So after we get your brand solidified, the messaging, now we can bring it to life, as I say. So bringing it to life looks like evolving the logo, the website, from the content to the design, and then your marketing campaigns and different initiatives like that. So it starts with a clear message, and then we can move that to all the bells and whistles, the fun stuff that everyone likes to get into, the tangibles.
Well, Melissa, one of the things that all businesses do is they hire, and they have to develop their people. And you and I both appreciate the importance of assessments, especially in the hiring process. There's so many companies that skip that step and then make the mistake of the wrong hire, and that's so expensive.
Yes.
You're using the predictive index. What is it about that particular assessment that you like and that helps your clients the most?
It does a lot of things. So in terms of the hiring process, to stick with the question, what it does is it removes the bias and subjectivity from the hiring process. The candidate will take a 6-minute assessment, and it will pair up with your job description. So first step would be to upload the job description into the software, and then based on the KPIs and the behavioral targets that are needed to succeed in that role, the assessment will pair, see if it's a good fit or not. And the next layer is when you bring that candidate in, the software also gives you interview questions, which is another huge weight that's lifted off of the company to figure out, what do I ask them? How do I go about really determining if this is the right fit? So first step, you already know that based off the assessment, they're a good fit. And then you can follow up with interview questions to really seal the deal. And then after they're hired, the software also generates management guides on how to communicate effectively within teams, from manager to direct report. Again, very robust, but the biggest thing that I love about it in the hiring process is just removing the bias, removing the subjectivity, and making sure that this person is a good fit, essentially allowing you to make the right hire every time.
Well, that's awesome. And I know it's important too to make sure that the key attributes for that particular role, as well as the key performance indicators, are touched on with those interview questions so that, as you say, you get the right person for the role.
Exactly.
So I know you're certified in predictive index.
Yes.
But the ones that caught my eye, I had to read this because it's the Executive MBA certification for Lean Six Sigma Green Belt and Strategy Implementation and Execution. Now that's a mouthful.
It is.
But I know that means something in terms of process and what you're bringing to these organizations. How is that going to help improve their operational efficiency or increase their revenues?
Well, of course, you want to operate efficiently and effectively. And being able to pinpoint those things is key. But what's even more important is, okay, now that we've identified that there's a problem, how do we fix it? Then how do we get people to get on board with this change, this new strategy, this new way of doing things, what have you? And where those certifications come into play is helping people document and track change. So when I come into the organization for the specific issue in operations, we find out where the issue is, and then we create a standard operational procedures document. And what that allows the company to do, or the organization, is to effectively change and track their changes. And that helps to not only implement the change, but get buy-in. And also, you can continue to improve. It's not, okay, this is the one change we're going to do, and that's it. No, it's setting the precedence in your company culture that you can pivot and improve, and also that you're organized about doing things. That's another big frustration that I've heard from employees, that we're organized chaos.
Okay.
So when we do these documents for changing procedures and implementing change, it's just very nice and organized to have this document so that we can start to do things better. And of course, operations is a direct correlation on your revenue. So you improve your operations, you drive revenue.
So you're affecting the culture in a positive way. The employees see the benefit of, hey, the company's really on the ball here. They're
Right.
doing things that are going to help us be more efficient.
Right.
It also sets that tone. I hear that you are continuously trying to strive for improvement.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Finally, Melissa, what advice would you share with our younger audience, especially business students in college that might be taking marketing, sales, and business courses?
Where to begin? So much. First, I would say, the education that you're receiving in the classroom is awesome. Figure out ways to try to apply that as quickly as possible, whether that be internships, volunteering. You really want to, real world experience is it's unmatched. So I highly recommend getting your hands dirty in your field as quickly as possible. And I also am an advocate, as you mentioned, my many certifications and my degrees and all this, continuing your education, honing in on your field, figuring out what is it that you want to be known for, and just diving in. I have a little rule that I set for myself. When I'm in the car Monday through Friday, I'm not listening to music. No radio, no iTunes, no Spotify, whatever. I'm listening to Audible books. I'm listening to podcasts. I'm doing something to grow my knowledge, to spark my interest, to stay relevant in my field. So that's just one little action item that you can do. But definitely, take the time to hone in on your craft and continue to grow in it. I can't stress the importance of networking enough and building relationships, meaningful relationships, strategic relationships. We meet a lot of people all the time, all day long, especially if you're active online or if you're going out and meeting people. Take it a step further and be strategic on those relationships. Figure out who could I work with, who could I work for, who could work for me, who could partner with me on a project, or who knows who, et cetera, and not just introduce yourself, but continue the conversation. Put it on your calendar to check in with them regularly. Put it on the calendar to actually have that Zoom, have coffee. You really have to work at relationships. It's nothing magical is going to happen off of the first time meeting somebody. So just take the time to really build meaningful relationships, lasting relationships, and put in the work. Put in the work to help others so that others can help you.
In other words, surround yourself with people that are bright, perhaps even smarter than you. Don't be afraid of those, right?
Always.
What's that saying? You can't fly with the eagles if you flock with the turkeys. Make sure that you are meeting with quality people that can have an impact for you in terms of strategic partnerships.
Yes.
Is that what you're telling me?
Yes.
Well, thank you so much for this interview. It's been quite informative as well as entertaining, and I hope it has been for our audience as well.
You're very welcome, and it's my pleasure.